Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting.
Right.
Today, the Syspocalypse threatens to wipe $2 trillion from the market. AI agents are trying to replace entire corporate teams, and Costco is secretly dominating the streetwear game.
I mean, it is an absolute hall of mirrors out there today.
It really, really is. And that is exactly our mission right now for this deep dive. We are scanning the absolute top trending dispatches from the front lines of tech, markets, and culture. We are taking the raw data wire of what people are obsessing over today, and we are going to figure out where the world is actually heading.
And just a quick warning for you as we get into this. Between the fake AI news that is specifically designed to trigger your financial anxieties and a relentless tech hype machine that just wants your investment capital, finding the actual economic truth today requires reading heavily between the lines.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
Exactly. We are going to be looking for the second-order effects here.
Yeah.
Who is actually making the money? Who is losing their shirt? And what happens when the mainstream consensus is completely wrong?
Well, I was scrolling the wire this morning, and this lead story just stopped me in my tracks because the stakes they're just staggering. There is a viral clip from Palantir co-founder Joe Lonsdale. It was shared by the handle at TBPN.
I saw that one.
Yeah, Lonsdale basically looks right at the camera and says that if you are building low-end software as a service right now, you are in deep, deep trouble. He argues that this new trend of vibe coding is going to completely destroy the bottom half of the software industry.
And vibe coding, just to be clear for everyone, is basically where you just describe what you want in plain English, and an AI builds the software for you instantly.
Right, exactly. You just vibe it into existence. But he claims that if you are building massively complex $100 million software systems like Palantir does, no one is replacing you. He actually said, quote, "I'm such a pro-AI bullish person, but it drives you to apostasy."
Let's pause right there and look at the brutal math behind what Lonsdale is hinting at, because the macro context is incredibly grim. We are looking down the barrel of what the market is actively calling the 2026 Syspocalypse.
The SaaSpocalypse, it's a great term.
It is, but it's terrifying. You literally have AI agents threatening to wipe $2 trillion with a T from SaaS stocks. But the real issue, the terrifying second-order effect here, isn't just about software developers having to find new jobs. It is about the massive mountain of debt sitting underneath all those companies.
Wait, expand on that for a second, because when most people think of software startups, they think of venture capital and equity, not necessarily debt.
I know, and that was true a decade ago, but that changed. Look at the UBS forecast that just dropped on the wire. They're projecting a 13% default rate in private credit portfolios.
13%, that's huge.
It's massive. And why? Because a huge chunk of those portfolios, we were talking up to 20 to 25%, is heavily exposed to these vulnerable SaaS assets. I really want you, the listener, to think about this in the context of your own life right now.
Yeah, bring it down to the ground level.
Think about the dozens of SaaS subscriptions your company uses right now. The HR software, the design tools, the project trackers. If 3/4 of those vendors go bankrupt next year, because some kid in a basement vibe-coded a free alternative in a single afternoon who is left holding their debt.
Private credit.
Exactly. It's private credit. And private credit is bundled into pension funds, it's in 401k plans, it's woven into the broader financial system. The fallout doesn't just stay neatly contained in Silicon Valley, it rips right through the credit markets that regular people rely on every day.
But hold on, I have to push back on Lonsdale a bit here. If anyone can just use an AI to write software, is Palantir really that safe? I mean, if an AI can simulate an entire team of engineers, why couldn't it figure out how to build complex enterprise software in a couple of years?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question.
Right, and there's a massive thread from @Naval Ravikant that actually argues software is going to proliferate exactly the same way that video, music, and writing did.
Yeah.
It just becomes infinite and practically free.
Yep, the marginal cost goes to zero.
Exactly. He pulls up this 2023 study showing that GitHub Copilot was already making developers 55% faster back then. Now, it's literally letting non-experts just clone entire sophisticated platforms in hours.
But Naval's point is exactly why Lonsdale is sweating right now, even if he confidently claims Palantir is safe on camera. If we look at the market structure, Naval notes it's shifting rapidly away from this fat middle of standard software vendors.
The middle is just hollowing out.
Completely. Instead, you get a barbell effect.
Yeah.
On one end, you have these massive mega aggregators who own the underlying AI models. And on the other end, you have an infinite long tail of hyper-niche products created by single individuals.
And you see that exact long tail playing out in the replies to Naval's thread. There's this wild example of a creator who made $1,000 off a single tweet selling a toddler coding curriculum. That is the democratization of software in action right there.
Sure, but look at what actually generated that $1,000. It wasn't the code. The code is worthless now. It's a commodity. The new moats are proprietary data, distribution, and fundamentally trust.
Trust is everything.
Exactly. If your software company doesn't have a unique data advantage or deep, unshakable customer trust like Palantir's defense contracts and regulatory moats, for example, your core product goes to zero.
And honestly, just surviving long enough to build that kind of trust is getting nearly impossible. I was looking at the raw survival metrics posted by Adegaz. He reminded his followers that only 4% of startups ever hit $1 million in revenue.
4%. It's brutal.
It is a grueling 2.5-year journey through what venture capitalists literally call the valley of death.
Which forces you to ask the hard analytical question. Is this whole AI revolution actually going to boost that 4% survival rate? Or is it just giving founders a shiny new tool to burn through venture capital at record speeds while chasing a complete mirage?
That is the exact tension tearing founders apart right now. Just look at this dispatch from @Austin. He is out there actively defending Replit's CEO, Amjad Masad.
Oh, the Replit pivot. This is a perfect example.
It really is. Now, Masad has been running Replit as this beloved traditional coding education company for a decade. They raised almost $100 million back in 2021. But recently, he has taken a massive amount of heat from his core users because he hard pivoted this educational platform into a full-blown AI agent platform.
And the users are furious.
They are completely alienated. They feel betrayed.
But can you honestly blame him? This is the razor-thin tightrope founders are forced to walk today. You have a 10-year-old company. Your traditional users love the educational aspect. But if you don't chase the AI hype train, your investors panic, the funding dries up, and your core educational product just gets eaten by the very vibe coding trend we just talked about.
So it's pivot or die.
Exactly. You pivot. You alienate the people who built your brand from day one, all just to survive the SaaSpocalypse.
Yeah.
It is a deeply cynical game of corporate survival at this point.
So you have these founders desperately trying to pivot just to stay alive. But if you look at the other side of the timeline, the venture capitalists who are funding them are taking an absolute victory lap. Let's look at a post from @PMarco, Mark Andreessen.
Of course.
He just flat out declared that we are living in the science fiction decade. He's pointing to AI, robotics, neural interfaces, all materializing at the exact same time.
Well, it is a fantastic marketing slogan for a guy who literally sells venture capital to institutional investors.
Okay, sure, it's great marketing, but look at the evidence people are posting to actually back him up on the wire. There's a post from @Griegesenberg that went completely viral this week. He shared a GitHub repository that got over 13,000 stars in under 7 days.
13,000 stars is unheard of velocity.
It's insane, and this repo literally lets you spin up an entire AI agency. We are talking about 61 specialized AI employees. You've got AI front-end engineers, AI product managers, AI marketers who just post on Reddit all day. Each one runs as its own autonomous agent, coordinating with the others to ship actual products. How is that not science fiction?
It sounds incredible until you look under the hood at the real-world friction. The hype is completely blinding people to the physical and economic limitations of the technology right now.
What do you mean?
Yes, you can technically spin up 61 agents, but do you have any idea the massive token burn required to make them just talk to each other?
Actually, break that down for the listener. What does token burn actually mean in this specific context?
So a token is basically a piece of a word. Every single time these AI agents communicate with one another, you are paying the underlying AI model provider for every single token it processes.
So it's like a tiny microtransaction for every syllable.
Exactly. And early user tests of this 61 agent system are showing that it takes 200,000 tokens just for simple pings.
200,000 just to say hi.
Yes. Just for the AI product manager to say hello and pass a basic one-sentence instruction to the AI developer. And worse, there is no shared memory across sessions yet, so they have to reread the entire context window every single time they interact.
Oh, wow. That adds up fast.
It drains your wallet.
Oh.
So I have to ask you, is burning thousands of dollars in server compute just to have an AI tell another AI to change a website button color from blue to red an actual business efficiency? Or is it just a profoundly expensive parlor trick?
When you frame it like that, it sounds like a trick.
Compute cost is the new minimum wage.
Hmm.
And right now, these agents are demanding CEO pay just to send an internal Slack message.
Okay, fair point. It sounds like a parlor trick right now because the architecture is flawed, but what if you completely change how the agents work together?
I'm listening.
Because at Karpathy, Andrej Karpathy, who is easily one of the most respected voices in AI, just posted his vision for what he calls auto research. He wants to move past this clunky linear way of making agents chat with each other like human employees.
Right, the simulation of a human office is definitely a dead end.
He wants to scale AI into a massively distributed collaborative network. He actually compares it to the old SETI at Home project, where millions of regular computers shared the workload of searching for alien life.
That was a brilliant project.
Yeah. Karpathy's goal isn't to simulate one AI software engineer. It is to simulate an entire research community of thousands of PhD students, all running experiments in parallel.
Now that I actually love.
Really? You're not cynical about that one.
Not at all. Not because it's a flashy demo, but because of the deep structural economic implications. If you can abstract research into a distributed network like that, you are fundamentally decoupling scientific progress from the human bottleneck of attention.
The human bottleneck.
Think about it. Right now, science moves at the speed of a human researcher reading a paper, writing a Python script, testing a hypothesis, and then having to sleep for 8 hours.
Right. Biology gets in the way.
Exactly. If you remove human attention as the limiting factor, the economic value of that discovery engine is mathematically incomprehensible. It's a true paradigm shift.
And what's really wild is that this shift isn't just happening on servers and screens. The compute is literally bleeding into the physical world. We are seeing a hardware transition.
The robotics side of the wire today is fascinating.
It is. There is a jaw-dropping 17-second video circulating right now from the handle at Ayan on Patriot. It shows a Da Vinci robotic surgical system. The robot is literally peeling a raw quail egg.
A raw quail egg.
Yes, and it does it flawlessly. The rigid outer shell comes off, the incredibly delicate inner membrane is fully exposed, and the yolk stays completely intact. It is mesmerizing to watch.
It's mesmerizing, and it is going to economically disrupt an entire class of high-income professionals.
You think it goes that far?
I do. Connect that video of the quail egg to Elon Musk's prediction from January 2026. He stated point blank that Optimus humanoid robots will begin replacing human surgeons by 2028.
Which is only 2 years away, and naturally the consensus just laughed at him.
Of course they laughed. But look at the hard data. If you pull the recent Lancet meta-analysis, robotic-assisted surgery is already showing a 20 to 30% lower complication rate compared to manual human methods.
So you're saying the human hand is actually becoming a liability in the operating room?
Exactly. I want you to imagine an economy just 5 years from now where a human doctor performing a complex surgery is considered reckless. Eventually, it becomes entirely obsolete.
Just because of the error rate?
Because of the error rate and the insurance. The malpractice liability insurance alone will force hospital administrators to adopt the robots. If a robot has a 30% lower error rate, no insurance company on earth is going to underwrite a human surgeon's trembling hands. It's just a math problem for the actuaries.
That transition is terrifying, though. We are talking about trusting machines with our literal lives, whether it's on an operating table or out on the streets. And that question of physical trust is playing out in real time right now on The Wire.
The autonomous vehicle debate.
Yes. We have two very different dispatches regarding autonomous vehicles. First, at Sawyer Merritt, posted a massive production update on the 2026 Tesla Semi. It is finally hitting mass production years after its 2019 unveil.
Better late than never.
True. But it's built for massive logistics scale. 10 cameras, reachable side windows, a full in-cabin monitoring system.
So we're talking about an 80,000-pound logistics vehicle heavily reliant on automated systems hurtling down the highway.
Right. And then immediately contrast that heavy automation with a highly controversial post from @CB_Doge. They shared dashcam footage from a January 2026 Waymo incident in Phoenix.
I watched that footage. It is incredibly tense.
It is wild. The Waymo autonomous car basically stopped inches from an active train track as a light rail train was actively approaching. It got so close and the car seemed so completely paralyzed that the passenger literally had to flee the vehicle on foot for their own safety.
And this is where we have to impartially break down the media bias debate that exploded in the replies to that video, because it reveals the underlying power struggle here.
How so?
Well, the community's core argument, which is mostly spearheaded by pro-Tesla accounts, is about visibility and double standards. They point out that if a Tesla robotaxi had stopped on active train tracks and forced a passenger to flee for their life, it would be the headline on every global news channel for a week.
Honestly, they absolutely have a point there. The media cycle would be relentless.
They do have a point. And they cite the metrics to back up their frustration. Tesla claims 20 billion unsupervised full self-driving miles compared to Waymo's 50 million supervised miles.
That's a massive gap in data.
It is. But what you are witnessing here isn't just a nerdy debate on the timeline about which company has a better sensor suite or LiDAR versus cameras. It is a brutal corporate street fight for regulatory dominance and public trust.
Because whoever wins trust wins the market.
Exactly. Whichever company can convince the public, and far more importantly the regulators, that their flavor of automation is safer, controls the future of urban infrastructure.
But how do you even build that trust when our shared reality is constantly under attack? The war for trust isn't just happening on our streets, it is happening on our timelines every single minute.
The fake news problem.
Yes. Let's shift to a really dark trend on The Wire today. We have a dispatch from @GeorgeLeoRoss, who is a very respected, level-headed voice in tech, and he is calling out an entirely fabricated news story.
This one blew my mind.
An account named @TechLayoffLouver posted that Amazon Prime Video had fired exactly 2,847 people at 6:47 a.m. on March 8th. That post generated over 10 million views.
10 million views, and people just swallowed it whole.
They treated it as absolute verified fact, and it never happened. It was completely made up out of thin air.
Let's dissect the anatomy of a viral lie here.
Yeah.
Because we really have to understand why millions of people, maybe even you listening right now, believed a post like that at first glance.
Why did it work so well?
It is the deliberate weaponization of your anxiety. The lie worked perfectly because it capitalized on the very real, very painful 16,000 Amazon corporate cuts that actually happened back in January 2026.
So it felt adjacent to the truth. It felt like a logical continuation.
Precisely. The people, or more likely the AI generators creating this fake news, know exactly how to bypass our critical thinking filters. By adding extreme hyper-specific details, like 2,847 people at exactly 6:47 a.m., it hijacks your brain's authenticity markers.
Because nobody makes up numbers that specific, right? That's what your brain assumes.
Right. It turns the tech sector's real, visceral fear of restructuring into cheap engagement farming for a blue-check account trying to monetize their view count. The social platforms are currently economically incentivizing the destruction of shared reality.
That is incredibly bleak. Honestly, I need to escape this digital dystopia for a minute and look at something tangible. Let's pivot to physical reality, where the economics are just brilliantly weird today.
Please.
Let's talk about the Costco clothing empire.
Finally, a business model you can actually touch and feel.
Very real and very weird. We have a post from @TrunkFan pointing out a wild consumer trend. He says the Costco VP of clothing is, quote, on a heater right now.
A heater?
Listen to this. Costco just did a Kirkland signature collaboration with Nike for custom SB Dunk sneakers. And the insole of the sneaker literally has a high-res photo of the famous $1.50 Costco hot dog combo.
That is absurd, but brilliant.
It's amazing. And if that wasn't enough to break the timeline, this weekend, Costco quietly started selling luxury off-white hoodies, which usually go for hundreds and hundreds of dollars for $84.99 online.
This is one of my absolute favorite economic anomalies because it completely breaks the established rules of luxury fashion.
Break down the economics of it. How are they doing this?
Let's look at the brilliant, deeply cynical mechanics behind what Costco is doing here. They are heavily utilizing gray market sourcing to move excess luxury inventory, and they operate their entire apparel division on under 10% margins.
Under 10%.
Yes. Traditional fashion brands simply cannot survive on margins that thin. They need 50–60% just to pay for their boutique storefronts and their massive marketing campaigns.
But Costco doesn't care about fashion margins at all, do they?
Not even a little bit. They care about membership retention and sheer volume. This quiet, completely unpretentious strategy resulted in a $9 billion apparel business in 2022 alone.
$9 billion.
Yes. They are quietly beating out massive, dedicated apparel brands like Gap and Lululemon, and they are doing it simply by relying on clever warehouse placement, massive bulk logistics, and the psychology of the impulse buy. You go in for bulk paper towels and a rotisserie chicken, and you walk out with an $85 designer hoodie.
It's incredible. A $1.50 hot dog sneaker beating out high fashion conglomerates. Okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground today on this deep dive.
We really have.
We went from the $2 trillion SaaS wipeout to AI agents burning tokens, to robotic surgeons, autonomous train track near misses, weaponized fake news, and finally, Costco hoodies. It is time to bring it all together. I have to formally ask you, based on today's raw data wire, what is your prediction for tomorrow?
If you synthesize the macro trends we've debated today, the 61 AI agents chatting with each other, the auto researchers scaling infinitely, the hyper-specific fake layoff news designed to hack your brain, the trajectory is becoming violently clear.
Where are we heading?
As AI agents scale into absolutely everything, digital software itself will become nearly free and infinite. Therefore, the ultimate premium commodity of the next decade won't be software at all. It will be unhackable trust and verified physical reality.
Physical reality.
Ironically, buying a deeply discounted physical off-white hoodie in a concrete Costco warehouse might be one of the only verifiably real consumer experiences left. The digital world is rapidly becoming a high-resolution hall of mirrors. The physical world is where the actual premium value is going to concentrate.
Which brings me to one final provocative thought, turning directly to you, the listener. In this so-called science fiction decade, as $100 million AI systems write all of our code, and as robots flawlessly peel our quail eggs, you have to ask yourself, how much of your daily digital diet is actually real information? And how much of it is just highly optimized AI-generated engagement farming, meticulously designed to hack your deepest economic anxieties?
It is a question you literally cannot afford to ignore anymore.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us as we navigate the noise. Stay sharp out there, and we will see you next time on the Daily Vibecasting. Goodbye.